Alright, you guys probably came here for a Retrospect review, and that's the name of the video, and that's what you're about to get, but there's something I need to do first. Just hang on one second. I just gotta do this one thing. Come on. Really, right now? Okay. I'll be right back. Well, that shit was long overdue. Hey guys, it's me, Urzaban, bringing you my Retrospect review for Battlefield 4. Now, if you're wondering why this is a Retrospect review and I'm covering the game this late, well, Battlefield 4 got really lucky and came out during a transitional period in my life.
Here's the situation. Normally, both your asses would be dead as fucking fried chicken. But you happen to pull this shit while I'm in a transitional period, and I don't want to kill you. I want to help you.
With that movie joke out of the way, which I love Pulp Fiction, if you get the chance, go watch that movie. But anyway, moving on. Let's go ahead and get some stuff out of the way. Battlefield 4 actually has a pretty good handful of content to offer you for being a full retail release in the form of campaign and multiplayer, and I also want to talk about the marketing practices. And for the sake of having this video a bit more organized, I'm going to split this into sections. Now, before we hit the sections, I'm going to get the next gen and last gen comparisons out of the way and talk about the graphics and sound design. Voice acting, sound design, and graphics are amazing long as you're playing on next gen and PC for Battlefield 4. If you have the option to play next gen or PC, fucking take that option. If you're stuck on last gen, just keep playing Battlefield 3. It is a better game in comparison to Battlefield 4 on last gen. Matter of fact, Battlefield 3 is just a better game, so yeah, I would say play that game. The graphics on last gen are so bad in comparison to where Battlefield 3 on the Xbox 360 looks better than Battlefield 4 on the Xbox 360, and same thing with the PS3. Here's the side-by-side comparison of the two versions on last gen. Notice how Battlefield 3 looks a lot better than Battlefield 4 does on last gen. Now here's the next gen comparison between Battlefield 4 on both gens. Notice how next gen, it looks way better. And on PC, it looks better. So if you really want to get this game, buy it for next gen or PC if you have that choice. And there's a couple other things that had to get cut, like player count on last gen's 24, but we have that stipulation of Battlefield 3, so everyone's kind of used to it. So that's more or less the graphics, sound design, and comparison. Let's go ahead and get on to the different sections that I need to cover. Alright, first section, marketing. Now, as a player, I usually don't complain about the marketing because as one player, I have no power and I can't really change it, so I've never really complained about it in previous reviews. But my god, Battlefield 4's marketing system is terrible. I mean, like, they've built it around pay to win. Elder Scrolls Online, sorry, I just had a terrible cold come up there where I remembered a game that was nothing but cash grabbing. But anyway, yeah, Battlefield 4's marketing system's completely built around paying to win, and here's my 3 least favorite that, if fixed, would greatly make the marketing system better. Now, I know these are never going to leave the game because EA makes a lot of money off of them, but I want to show you how they're bad and why we shouldn't support them, and hopefully they'll come out of the game doing money loss in that way. So anyway, first up we have the shortcut kits. I fucking hate shortcut kits. You ruin progression and the fun factor because if you have a credit card, you can soar straight to the top essentially and have all the overpowered gear and everything. I don't care for that. That ruins progression. And even if you buy those shortcut kits, you can see how that just like defeats the purpose of leveling up and actually playing the multiplayer. Think about it. Alright, system number 2, and my least favorite of the 3 systems I'm talking about here, fucking premium. My god, I hate premium. You wanna know what premium comes off to me as? You know what, I've had this game for about a week after the launch, and I love it so fucking much to where, you know what, I'm just gonna buy all the DLC ahead of a time on blind faith alone. You know what, all the DLC, because EA and DICE would never screw me over like that. Never. Yeah, that's what premium comes off to me as. And I mean, I don't think you're dumb if you bought premium. You probably thought you were going to save money, but here's what's wrong with premium. If everyone bought premium, EA and DICE could essentially just give people terrible DLC packs and with almost nothing in them and be like, well, you already bought it, so take it. And the reason that that hasn't happened yet in the multiplayer community is there's a handful of Battlefield players that make up a pretty good percentage that need to be sure of what they're buying. And I mean, and I'm one of those players, and I know that I'm going to end up spending a little bit more in DLC, or I'm not going to get into the player events where I get bonus EXP. By the way, I fucking hate the fact that premium players get that advantage, but anyway, moving on. I'm not going to get the handful of bonuses with it, but guess what? I know what I'm buying. I'm able to research it and actually pick and choose what I want to buy out of the game. And in the long run, I might end up spending less if I don't like a certain pack or two. So yeah, there's that. So in the long run, premium does nothing but hurt the community more in the long run if you think about it. And I think if they do enough policies to it, it could get fixed. But I don't really have faith in it. And lastly, we have Rent-A-Server. Now, the reason I saved this one for last is I see how Rent-A-Server can be awesome. You know what, it'd be pretty fucking cool if you had a clan and you were doing scrimmages between other clans and you were playing on servers and you only had, like, full clans in there and you're communicating as a team. That's fucking awesome. And if you're doing something like you actually want to play with your fan base on Battlefield, that's actually pretty cool. Get, like, a one-day server or do something like that. And other than those reasons that I just told you, almost no one has any reason to even rent into these servers. For the main point that you're not going to get use out of them and you're kind of throwing money into the wind if you do most of the time. And also, I do like the idea of it, but a couple things need to change and I will be completely okay with this. 1. The rented servers need their own separate playlist that I need to go into the menu and get to if I want to play in the rented servers. Secondly, you need to cap the power that people have available in these servers immediately because people abuse them terribly where they will kick you out of the server, ban you, or kill you because you're doing better than them or using a piece of equipment that they don't like you using. Believe me, I had that happen to me in both Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4. It was a problem in Battlefield 3 that I had, but it's gotten worse with this game a slight bit, so I'm talking about it now in the hopes that hopefully it'll get out of Battlefield. And I mean, those are my top 3, and there's a handful of other things I don't like showing you all the other game types that you can't play unless you have DLC, or making the DLC guns way overpowered in comparison to everything else. But I mean, this just needs to get fixed, and it's something that I'm looking out for in the general community, and I hope that you guys don't bite my head off about this one.
kills electronics, not people.
We have to get them out of here to safety.
Fortress is his tombstone. Come. Shit. It's dead.
Look at these boats. All these people, man, they're sitting ducks. Follow us! Follow us, we'll get you to safety!
Irish, what are you doing?
Can't just leave me back. Follow us, we'll get you to USS Valkyrie!
You in your mind, Irish?
In my right behind back. Follow us! Follow us now, we'll get you to safety! Come on!
Fortress is his tombstone. Come in, over. Fortress is his tombstone. Come in.
Okay, I've been dreading doing this part of the review, but to actually review a game, I need to talk about all the main features and things in the game. The single player. Now, it's no fact that no one buys Battlefield for the single player adventures in the games. But with Bad Company 2 and Battlefield 3, they were actually pretty good stories that actually felt like they were worth something once you played through them. They weren't the best, but they were solid campaigns for me, and I really thought Battlefield 4 could be the campaign to make a good Battlefield campaign. Oh god, I could not have been more wrong. It's fucking laughable of how bad this campaign is. I'm not even joking. You can laugh at how bad this campaign is. And like I said before, make sure you're playing this campaign on next gen or PC, because on last gen it gets pretty unbearable with all the slowdowns and everything else you'll get. So let's just talk about what I genuinely liked before I start ranting all over the place. I like that the areas are way more open than they were in Bad Company 2 and BF3. There's a lot more freedom in how you engage the enemy. I generally enjoyed that. I also like how you're able to spot all your enemies and order your squad around. Granted, your squad's not going to listen to your orders, but it's a nice feature to have, I guess. I like that they tried to change up a couple things. And the areas, for the most part, aesthetically, they look pretty good on next gen. Last gen, they look okay, but they don't look as good. And then there was a handful of characters that I actually liked from the single-player story, consisting of Dima, Pac, and Kovic. And then I like that they brought back the weapon crate and that my arsenal could get bigger the more that I went through the game, and the more that I played through it, the bigger and bigger my arsenal gets and the more tactical freedom I have. I really like that. Alright, let's start talking about what's wrong with this. First off, they fuck up the box system by making it point-based for about half of the guns that you will get. I really fucking hate this, because I like the idea of grinding for points to get guns in a single player level. It gives a bit more motivation to it, in my opinion. But I don't like how if your squad kills an enemy, you get 50 points. If you kill an enemy, you get 100 points. If you kill an enemy with a headshot, you get 125 points. It's completely built around you abandoning your squad, because it's so bad and so poorly designed for the AI in this game, to where it's just more effective to go and lone wolf it, and you'll get more of a bonus for doing that 95% of the time. That doesn't sit well with me. Also, this campaign's really fucking short, like 4.5 hours level of short. Granted, it's not 4 hours for $60, but that's only half an hour of content more, so I don't know what you can claim from that, DICE. Also, the storytelling's just complete and total shit. It makes no sense geographically. America has no reason to even be involved in this campaign. The characters are god-awful, especially... Oh my god, there was 2 characters that I just hated the whole campaign, in the form of Hannah and Irish. They're there literally to yell and get mad and make events seem way more outlandish than they need to be, and add this false sense of there's an uneasy relationship with your squad, but we're both in the army and we should get along regardless because we're fighting for the same thing. But you know what? We're gonna argue 3/4 of the time. Seriously, I'm not shitting you. That's this campaign's way of telling a story. Also, the main character's a complete and total husk. And the ending, oh my god, the campaign ending is so fucking lackluster. To the point to where I wish I could have killed myself at the end of the game. I literally wish that that was an option, and it probably would have been a better ending. It probably would have been a better ending to kill myself in how that ending played out. Oh my god, that ending was god-awful. At least Battlefield 3 and Bad Company 2's endings were solid endings to a game. You know what? They were just solid campaigns that were fleshed out. The main characters were actually there. They weren't complete husks like Wrecker. Also, the enemy AI and your teammate AI is god-awful. Like, I really fucking hate the AI. Your teammate AI is so dumb to where you'll point out enemies, and then they'll just randomly spray, and you might get a couple kills from them that way. To the point to where you're just going to kill all the enemies you pointed out for them anyway. So that's how bad your teammate AI is. The enemy AI is a fucking joke with how the only time you will die is when the only time you're going to die is when they clusterfuck areas full of enemies. It's not even funny with how bad they clusterfuck. And if there's a small group of enemies, I shit you not, there's points where it's more efficient just to run up and stab them all down rather than engaging in a gunfight. Also, there's a handful of throwaway collectibles in the form of certain guns that you can only find if you pick them up in a certain area, and dog tags. Dog tags are completely fucking throwaway, and you're gonna be like, oh cool, I got a dog tag. Let's move on. That's gonna be your basic feeling. Also, the guns, while they do help and they're nice to have, you're not gonna go out of your way to get them because they provide so little of a bonus. And then there's some thought out systems in this game where it's literally like, why did you put this in the game at all? And this comes off in the worst way in stealth mode. I shit you not, this stealth is so bad to a point to where it's laughable with how bad they are. You wanna know what a successful stealth area plays out like?
Got your six, Wrecker. Take him out. Two more. There she is!
Be advised, I'm reading multiple heat signatures ahead.
Any chance of assistance?
I shit you not, like one of two times you can be completely stealthy in this game. That's how the stealth will play out. It's a fucking joke. Matter of fact, fucking forget every other stealth game that I've played that has had good stealth if this supplements for good stealth in gaming. You know what? Fucking forget about Metal Gear Solid, the whole franchise, Wolfenstein The New Order's added stealth, and Deus Ex The Human Revolution's added stealth. There is literally no good attributes to the stealth. It's there to kill 2 to 3 enemies quietly before you engage in a firefight of like 200 people. It's fucking throw on and tack in to the point to where it's not even why, to where you don't even care as to why they even came up with it and you wish it wasn't in the game. And before we move on, there's a whole bunch of technical problems with it, like I had the campaign crash a couple times. They reuse sound effects like a bitch. There's a whole bunch of incontinuities, like if you shoot at a helicopter on this one map where you're on the aircraft carrier, and you shoot the helicopter down with a rocket launcher, the enemies will literally like fall out of the helicopter and stop before they hit the ground. That's how little they cared about correctly programming this campaign. And also, I've had it crash a couple times, and on the PS4, my campaign keeps fucking resetting every time they update the goddamn game. I don't know if it's still a problem because I only played through it twice, but it got reset both times, and when I went to go play through it again after getting halfway back through on my PS4, it was reset again because I had to update my game. So honestly, while the campaign has a few standout moments that make it more memorable, like actually getting to go through a fully realistic aircraft carrier and actually having some good characters and some standout features and bringing back features that I liked, ultimately, so many things were shammed on and half-assed to the point to where the campaign is ruined.
Yes, so. Oh, I beat Dell, did I not? Oh, you lost. How does that feel? Angry army can overcome all odds, even the odds of Dell. Well, can we be on a team now, or do you want me to spank you again?
We can be on the team if you want.
That's what I thought. What am I looking at? Are you fucking serious? No, okay. No, fuck. Oh.
Alright, the multiplayer. Now everyone's probably been wondering how I feel about this the most if you've actually been dealing with the length of this video so far, but don't worry, we're in the final stretch here before the verdict. Anyway, the multiplayer has always been the main draw and main appeal of Battlefield, and me being a Battlefield fan, it is a pretty important part of a Battlefield game. Though there was one YouTuber that I want to bring up here real quick that completely summarized how I feel about Battlefield 4 at this current moment in time in his top 10 worst games of 2013 video, and that was Pro Jared. I'm going to go ahead and show you the segment of that video that relates to Battlefield 4.
Now let me explain. I actually like Battlefield. For online multiplayer shooters, it's my game of choice. But good God, did DICE and EA mess up on this one. Since the day it launched, Battlefield 4 has been plagued with bugs and balancing issues. It's a sad time when the most enjoyable part of the game is having the loading screen succeed and actually get into a server. And from there, it's just a gamble to see how long before Battlefield crashes and you have to restart. That's not just the multiplayer either. Even the single player has game crashes forcing a restart. I know it's come to be expected that DICE games are inherently fun, but buggy as hell at launch. But Battlefield 4 is the worst example of this. Listen, when you have to cease development on all of your precious DLC just to focus on fixing the game first, you did something wrong.
Now I agree with Jared's argument about 95%. That being said, it's not all bad and there is things to like, but the bugs and everything else really hold this back. Like, I've had a lot of bugs come up all over the place. There's so many to where I can't even label them all without making like a 2-hour video, without getting like extremely nitpicky and everything else like that. But anyway, there were bugs. Some of them have gotten fixed, others linger, and it's more or less of like, it's gonna get fixed eventually, but I don't know when kind of deal. So that's basically what we have to deal with. Now, there was 3 new game types on the base disc in the form of Domination, Defuse, and Obliteration. Now, while I don't have any footage of Defuse, I've actually played it somewhat, so I can talk about it here. Now, Defuse is basically search and destroy put into Battlefield, and I don't hate the game type, but for a Battlefield game, I don't feel that it fits because it goes against everything I've come to know and love with Battlefield. So there's that. Then domination's basically TDM with like 3 little mini conquest flag points that your team has to go and capture, and that that decides the fate of the game. I really like it, but it's nothing like massively like what's the word? It's nothing groundbreaking in the form of multiplayer. It's nothing new. I've seen domination like this before, but it is a nice add-on. Now, my favorite new game type is obliteration, because obliteration is essentially, it's like Rush where everyone has only 3 objectives and the bomb's in the middle, and either team can take out any team's objectives, but they have to get that bomb in the middle and run it there. So yeah, it actually added this really good tension of having to constantly go back and forth across the map, cover the bomb guy, work together as a team, and it's my favorite new game type. It's not my favorite game type overall that I've seen out of Battlefield, but it's my favorite game type that I've played that's new to the franchise here. Now that we got the new game types out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about the multiplayer generally, and the fact of map design's not as good as it used to be, because all the maps are based around vertical gameplay and it gets really confusing, and it gets real hit and miss, especially Levolution both helps and hurts maps. Like if we're talking in the form of Siege of Shanghai and Flood Zone, it really hurts the map, because the map just becomes way less maneuverable than what it was once the Levolution event happens, and the map design doesn't look that great when it happens, so yeah. In the case of those maps, it holds it back. But if we're talking like Dawnbreaker, Paracel Storm, and like Gamud, I don't remember what Gamud Railways was. I don't think they even had that, but anyway, one other map that I cannot remember the name of at this current moment in time, those had good Levolution because they were nice subtle changes and it felt like actual weather changing and really affecting the combat, and those felt like they were thought out the most out of Levolution. Also, there's a couple things that are really confusing and should have been in this game at launch that have gotten there and haven't gotten there, so I'm going to go ahead and talk about them. First up is customization. Now, I like Battlefield 4's customization, but there's so many alliterations of grips and other items to the point to where you barely notice difference. And I've never been one of those players that's like, oh, I'm going to go on websites and look up the hard stats of what each of these does and all that. I've never been that kind of a person. I'm like semi-hardcore, like I know what works for me and I leave it at that. But all these grips felt like they did around the same thing, and all like the holographic sites felt like they did around the same thing. I just didn't notice too much variation for myself. That and the customization's really fucking complicated in the sense of you can't pre-customize before games anymore. Fuck you, EA. Like really, fuck you for that. Because if you want to customize your guns, the only way you can customize your guns is going to the in-game menu where you pull up the intricate customizations. You can't pre-customize or customize on the fly like you could in Battlefield 3. Also, for the first 4 months of the game's lifespan, you could not pre-set up your squads on console. I don't know if that was a thing for PC, because I only got to play PC after they added it, so I don't know if it was there or if it wasn't there. But it was really annoying having to get into a game, hope there was enough space, then periodically invite your friends and hope no one else hopped into your squads. So ultimately, while the multiplayer has features that I like and nice small changes, there's nothing major here, and the multiplayer's ultimately taken a lot of steps back. So let's go ahead and get to the verdict. Okay, the verdict. Now, as far as I see it, Battlefield 4 was a giant fucking disappointment in every area. The marketing strategies are fucking shams just to make you put more money into the game. The single player is a horrendous mess. No matter how you look at it, it's a fucking mess. And then the multiplayer, while it's fun, it launched in a damn near broken state and should have launched way fucking better like all the previous Battlefields did, with the exception of BF3. But hey, BF3, they got their shit together quick and got that game fixed fast. And with patching, it's only become adequately entertaining for me. And also, there's so many other things that just genuinely disappointed me other than the production value, which, granted, the graphics and sound design, they're fucking great, but that can only bring you so far with a full retail release. And also, after taking a hard look at this game, in retrospect, I'm going to give Battlefield 4 a 5 out of 10. If I reviewed it when the game came out, it would have been a 4 because it launched in a damn near fucking unplayable state. And if it ever gets fully fixed, consider it a 6 out of 10 from me. So in retrospect, this game can only become adequately entertaining for me, because the game should have just been way fucking better, and I'm honestly insulted that this is a fucking Battlefield game. And after taking a good hard look at the track record, I honestly think Battlefield's going down the evil path of becoming another Call of Duty franchise. Like Assassin's Creed and Call of Duty, they're just going to start giving us really cut and paste entries that barely have anything new to offer and have really gimmicky add-ons. And also Battlefield 4, its marketing was pretty fucking gimmicky with them being like, oh, Evolution, it's going to change the gaming landscape. Bitch, we've had Levolution in games before. You wanna know what they called it before? Evolving maps. You just add a very gimmicky name to it and acted like you were doing it first. Also, Commander Mode, you can play for your tablet. That's another fucking gimmick. They built this game around marketing around gimmicks and small changes. And granted, while that's okay for 1 or 2 entries out of a franchise, as long as they're good entries and not shammed together, this one's shammed together and I don't have faith in the franchise pulling itself together. So until I get proof that Battlefield's gotten better and back to its previous state of glory, I'm not buying another Battlefield game. I'm not going to pre-order Hardline. You wanna know why? Hardline looks like a cut and paste copy of Battlefield 4 except Cops and Robbers Edition. And I even played the closed beta when it first came out, and that's what it felt like to me. And with that being said, this video is the final stake in the coffin for me with Battlefield 4. I'm going to trade in both my copies and recoup whatever money I can that I wasted on this game, and then I'm going to stop making Battlefield 4 videos. If you want to see Battlefield 4 videos from me, look at all my previous Battlefield 4 videos. You're going to have roughly 5 videos of this one if I'm remembering correctly. Let me see, I got 3 montages, a commentary, and this review. So yeah, you'll have 5 Battlefield 4 videos from me, and if that's not enough for you, I'm sorry, I'm not going to make another one. And if you want to unsubscribe from me because you disagree with my opinion on this game, or I gave it a score that you're not happy about, go ahead. I'm not going to stop you. But being a veteran of this franchise and not having what made me a fan in the first place gone, I just don't see a reason to play it.